me romance. Read me romance. Read me romance. Read me romance. You could take a look in a book, that's fine. Or you could sit back, relax, and unwind and read me romance. Read me romance.
Welcome back, lady listeners.
Hey, lady listeners. Welcome back to a brand new week at Read Me Romance. We have a new audiobook from MINK this week called Sweet Obsession. And we are super excited to play it for you. And we're going to get into MINK and all her good stuff in just a couple of minutes. Because first, I'm going to talk shit on Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I forgot.
Listen, I finished it. And when I got done, we had like 3 episodes left. I think after last week, maybe I had like 5 episodes left. I don't know. We finished it. And as soon as it was done, I got up from the couch and I said, I regret ever starting that show. It was the worst ending ever.
Oh,
and
no.
I am so upset that I wasted time watching that show.
That sucks. Do you think that they thought there was going to be another season?
I don't know. It actually ended okay in some places. This is what pisses me out. So, I mentioned last week there was like 10 different storylines. Like there's a bunch of different stories happening. So like one of the guys gets a great ending and you kind of see his future with his partner and like his family and all this stuff. And it looks great. But like there's no resolution on Ted. It's kind of just left up to it. And I'm like, the whole reason this show started is because he and his wife were having problems and he took a job in England and left his wife and kid in the States because his wife was so frustrated with him because he was so positive about everything and he would never share his upset or sadness or angers. He just would keep it all inside and just smother it with a smile. And so she was so frustrated. She was like, I need some time. I need some space. Like, I need you to either open up to me or we're going to get a divorce. So, like, he ends up going to Europe to coach the soccer team and they get a divorce while she's there. And, like, the whole point of the show was that's why he came to coach the soccer team. And that's not resolved in the end. When he goes back to America and, like, his wife is there, but she was dating someone else. And, like, you don't know what happened with them. And they're at his son's soccer game. And I'm like, are they together? Like, what's happening? There's no resolution on that. There's no real resolution on the other main character, Rebecca, who like owns the team. There's none with her. The whole guy and girl thing that I was championing for the whole time. So like she and this guy were together and then they broke up because he broke up with her because he didn't think he was good enough. And then she has this ex-boyfriend that is still in love with her. And both those guys are friends. And so they like get in a fight and they go to her house and they're like, pick one of us. And she's like, she kicks him out. She's like,
I knew you were going to say she was like, both of you get out of here.
Yeah. And then there's no resolution with that. And so I was so pissed off when it was over. And my husband was like, wait. Like, you're just looking at this from a romance writer's perspective. And I was like, let me tell you something, motherfucker. I was so mad. I was like, if this wasn't about the romance, then why the fuck was it in every fucking episode?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I actually heard somebody explain this one time to viewers. They were like, the reader romance has a different section. So like Netflix and stuff every week, and shows are trying to leave you with a huge cliffhanger. So you're like dying to get back. You don't have a choice. And it's just the way that the shows are. But romance is completely different. The book world is completely different. They literally have a whole mantra in their advertisement. This is standalone. You get the whole story in the package. Yeah. Which makes me wonder too. Because I feel like a lot of shows do that. They will end and not give you everything. It's like they're incapable of closing it. They just wrote so much of it's just going. I don't know.
I just felt like, okay, if the love stories in this whole show weren't important, why was the love story the catalyst for him leaving? Why was a love triangle happening all 3 seasons? Why was the other main character, like her love with her ex-husband and their divorce, why was that at the very first episode up until the last episode?
I just can't imagine saying my husband won't open up, so he moves across the world.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, by the time you landed, I'm going to have divorce papers serve you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of reasoning behind it, and this is spoilers if you're gonna watch the show, which I don't recommend you do. Spoiler: his dad committed suicide or died by suicide when he was young, and I think he was like 15 or 16 at the time, and he never understood why, and his mom never talked about it. His mom just glossed over it because she didn't want to like. I guess she was trying to like make him not forget about it, but like she didn't want to bring it up. She was just like, "Oh, everything's fine, everything's okay, like it's fine," like, and just glossed over it. So he went through like some major trauma, never processed it. And from that moment on, the learned behavior was just gloss over your problems, because he went through the most horrific thing he could have ever gone through and never got to talk about it. And so that was kind of where it stemmed from. So he's like this super happy guy that's always really, really positive to try to not focus on the negative, and everybody loves him for that. But his wife was like, I don't know if this is what's true, like what's true and real. So in that aspect, I kind of understood like her frustration and him and his inability to open up, because he was just so terrified of like opening himself up because he wasn't sure what he was going to find inside. And when he finally does, like, he's a fucking wreck, because it's something he never processed. So
no, I get it, because I can do the same myself. Like when somebody
Yeah.
is arguing something and there's something I know I could say, I physically cannot get the words to come out of my mouth.
Mhm.
Like physically, they will not. And that may sound crazy to people, but it's like, it just won't come. It can be in my head, but it's not, my jaw is not opening.
Yeah. And so like that part I understood, but it's like, okay, if that was such a pivotal, integral part of this story, why didn't we get more of a resolution on it? But they said there's no more seasons. Like it was supposed to be 3 all the time.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was always supposed to just be the 3. So, I mean, I even looked it up. I was like, is there gonna be a season 4? And it was like, as of the 1st of October, they were like, no.
The only one I remember loving was like the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
When she didn't choose a guy at the end.
Yeah.
But that was like the ending. That was, she was going off on Obama's tour. She was like, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, that works.
And in a way, like, I can kind of understand, their reasoning behind not letting this character, Keely, not letting her choose between these 2 guys. Like her just doing her own thing.
Make your own adventure.
Yeah, I guess. But at the same time, like, you don't really know what happens to her beyond that. I don't know. I just did not feel like there was any sort of glimpse into the future, or are they okay? It was kind of like, it was like the next day. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is it. This is the end of it. I don't know. I did not love the ending on it, and it ruined the show for me. So I know, because I know some people really love this show. And so I just thought, everybody loves it. Like maybe it'll be good. No, I was wrong. Don't watch it. And if you like this show, like, I'm sorry for shitting on the show that you love. That's not the intent here. The intent is to express my frustration with the
that's why I can't watch
ending.
this kind of shit. That's why I like scary movies, because that's not supposed to have some ending, really.
Yeah.
I like reality TV because it's real, and I don't watch the other ones because I'm like, no, they're gonna make me mad. They're gonna frustrate me. I'm gonna be I'm not gonna get any satisfaction.
Yeah. And that was, my husband was trying to say, well, it's not a romance. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be. And I was like,
I need a conclusion.
I just said, they don't have to be together, but what the fuck is she doing? What the fuck are these guys doing?
Walking up saying, hey, I don't have to choose nothing, and going on her life.
Yeah. And I felt like it wasn't enough. I felt like what they gave, and that couple in particular, I was really invested in. And I was like, it sucks that you're going to write this storyline and then just kind of let it fizzle out. I don't know. But we even said that, last time when I said, if you can't write a couple, a happy couple, and make a show interesting, that's lazy writing.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's lazy. Because that, to me, is a challenge in writing, to write a a couple that is together and that's happy, and not only create conflict around them, but create an interesting story that makes people care about the characters.
Yeah.
Like, if you just make them break up, that's fucking lazy. You just kill one of them off. That's lazy.
Or cheating.
Yes,
That's just
or
an
cheating.
easy
God
grab for
damn it.
emotion.
Yes. Like, that's just, I fucking hate that shit. And yeah, again, you're right. This is why I don't trust shows like this. When people tell me, oh, you're going to love it, I'm like, no, because this is what happens. I get invested and I liked the story, but then, oh well. And maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm super bitter because I am a romance writer, but I feel like this entire show was about heart and about overcoming hard things and opening up yourself and being vulnerable. I feel like that's what this whole show is about. So fuck me as a romance writer, right? Like, fuck me for caring on this show that was about that. So, oh man, Ted Lasso, he could eat my ass. I mean, I liked him. He was a nice guy. So I do have something good to talk about though, since that was my coming in hot bullshit. The other thing is that I've been listening to an audiobook, and it's by Talia Hibbert. It is from 2018. I've had this thing on my wish list forever, but I am still doing the 23 for 23 challenge, where you try to read 23 BIPOC characters in books written by BIPOC authors before the end of the year. And so I had this one on my wish list forever. I was like, I'm going to read this book. It is called The Princess Trap. And I am kicking my own ass for waiting so long to read this book. This book is so good. I cannot express to you how good this is. Okay, I'm going to set it up. Brace yourself, okay? So she is like this. It's oh my god, I don't even know where to start. She's in London. She's like this curvy bombshell, thick hips, big boobs, like wears really tight fitting clothes. I kind of thought a little bit about the lady from Mad Men, you know, Joan, like the redhead. Okay, a little bit. I've just got that in my head, like that kind, because she works in an office. She's works for a school there. It's like an academy or something. It's a real fancy school, and she works in HR. And so one of the girls comes into their HR department. She's like, oh my God, there's like this hot guy that's here. And she's like, whatever, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's from the hero's perspective, and he sees this bombshell walk in, and she goes up to, she like completely ignores him and goes over to the guy that's at behind the desk. And she's like, hey, can you help me read over this contract? I think I did something wrong, like bends over the desk and stuff. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's a big old flirt. And so, like the guy that, you know, the hero's talking to, the guy that works there, he's like, oh, Cherry, blah, blah, her name's Cherry. And he fixes it for her. And she turns and she's like, oh, who's this? And like, he just falls all over himself. And he's like, he's this gigantic, I think he's Dutch prince or something. And so I think it's Dutch, but he's a prince, and he's there because he's doing like some scholarship foundation with these kids. That's what his job is, I guess. It's like he does stuff with schools and kids and scholarships. And so he's there interviewing this academy to see if they'd be a good fit. And he ends up asking her out to lunch. And he's like, come to lunch with me. And she's like, okay. And so they go out, and it is like the sexual tension is so good in this. And so they're kind of like being flirty and stuff. And at one point he like takes off her shoe under the table, and he's like rubbing like his foot against her foot. And it sounds silly, but it was like such a sexy little contact while they're just sitting there eating. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go home and fuck this guy. Like, we're doing this. And so he was like, can I take you out tonight, you know, after work? And she's like, no, but you can come home to my apartment and watch me get ready before we go out to dinner. And he's like, okay, I know what this is going to do. So anyway, so they're on the way, and they park outside her apartment or something, and they start making out. And it is like hot and heavy. And he's got her like, they end up getting out of the car, and he's like got her pinned against a wall, and his hands up her skirt. And you realize like he's really dominant. Like he calls it something like like power play or something like that,
Mhm.
but he just wants to be in charge. And he like pins her arms and stuff, and he does this, and all of a sudden there's like a photographer that
I
comes around
knew
the
you were
corner.
gonna say
Yeah.
that.
And so he starts taking the picture, and she freaks out. But the photographer's speaking Dutch, and he's like, "Oh, is this one of your new kinky whores? Blah blah blah." And so he tells him, he's like, "Look, this is my fiance, so you can't take her picture. That's against the protocol or whatever." So I guess they
Oh,
have an agreement with the paparazzi that they can't take pictures of family. And so
okay.
he says, "This is my fiance." So that's kind of like how the story kicks off. And then she gets so mad at him because then she's being swarmed by paparazzi and all this stuff. And she finds out like he's like got caught on camera, like doing a bunch of kinky stuff. And like by one of those like this girl he used to date or whatever, she like ruined it. Or I guess like I forget what the like slandered or whatever, but she basically did this for money. Like she turned him in and like sent video and stuff of him doing things. And so like now she's caught up in all this. So but she's got a sick sister in the United States, and so she needs money to send her for school and for her treatments and stuff. And so that's what he proposes. He's like, "All right, if you pretend to be my fiance for a year, this will help repair my image, and you can break up with me in a year, and we'll make it public, and that way, like, I'll be able to clean up my image, and I'll pay you this much money every month." And she's like, "You know what? Okay." But like she's mad at him, for getting her in this
Yeah.
position and having to lie to her family. And so she goes to wherever, I don't know, wherever his castle is. She goes there and she's living with and the sexual tension between them and the times when it's like they do sexy things together and they touch and it's just like I am losing my mind at how hot this book is.
Mhm.
It
It's
is
heat.
so fucking good. Oh my God, it's hot. And I was like, I don't know why I waited so long to read this book. The narration's great too, because the guy does it's like a German accent or something. The guy, it's a man that narrates it, and he's really good. It's hot. So I can't recommend it enough. Have you read anything good lately?
I've been listening to Britney's thingy.
Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about. I finished it too. Did you finish it yet?
I haven't finished it yet, but I'm
Okay.
still listening.
What do you think so far?
It's, I mean, her ex-husband's a piece of shit. Her
Yeah.
family is,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad. I didn't realize she's really been used.
Mm-hmm. I told one of my friends when we were talking about it, he was like, "Should I read it? Like, is it good? Is it worth it?" And I was like, "I'll say this. If you have an ounce of compassion for Britney Spears, you'll love this book because it's really fucking sad. Like you said, it's a sad story, but
She's kept so much inside that we
yes.
don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, all this was happening to her. And she's
Mm-hmm.
been quiet.
Yeah, she hasn't been able to say anything. And so like it confirms I think what everyone kind of expected or like assumed like when she was, when her dad was posting on Instagram and stuff and fans knew right away it wasn't her. They were like that was when the Free Britney movement started. And so like, her being locked away and stuff fans assumed that was what was going on. So she confirms that. And not only that, she tells her side and I was telling the same friend, I was like, I said, you can tell it's ghost written, but you can tell the parts that, Michelle Williams is reading it. And you can tell in the parts that I feel like you can tell when it's word for word, Brittany, and
Yeah.
when she's telling the story and someone's writing down her version of it, because there's a part in it where like when she shaves her head, like that whole moment when
Yeah.
that happens. And I said that was horrific to listen to from her side because at least for me, when I was listening to it, I could tell that someone was writing down her thoughts as she was doing it. Like Brittany didn't type that out herself, but you could tell they were documenting her taking them through it. And I was just like, holy fuck, no wonder, And for those of you who aren't going to read it, but are interested about it, the one thing I haven't really seen that I took away from it was, there so much. Oh my God, there's so much.
It's a lot. Like
My
I was
brain's
like,
hurting.
every time I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sorry, the one thing that I think stood out the most was that, she knows she's crazy looking on Instagram. Like, she knows that. Like, she
Yeah.
even says that in the beginning. She was like, "I know I act crazy. I know people look at me and think, like, I'm nuts." And she said, "But you don't understand." She was like, "I love posting naked pictures of myself because for 13 years, I
Yeah.
had no control over my body. What I ate, what medicine I took, doctors, shots, blood drawn."
Nothing.
Yeah, like therapy, she was
And
put
then
in.
just worked like a horse.
Yeah, and she was put in isolation for months at a time with not seeing a single
When she
person,
took the
like,
baby to the bathroom,
fuck, that was awful. That
that
was
was so
awful.
awful. I'm
And she
like,
said that, "You told me they would wait." And I cried. It was
I
awful.
hope her
Oh,
boys read this one day.
I do too.
I
I
hope
hope
they
I
read
hope
this
they
one day.
understand, that
Yeah.
someone helps them understand. I hope they have therapy. I even took notes. Look, I love this book so much I took notes. And I had two things I wanted to share that hit me in the chest and like made me tear up. In the beginning, when she's talking about the media and how they hounded her about her virginity,
Yeah.
about with Justin, about, her slut shaming her, like all this stuff. And she was a child. And
Yeah.
she said, "At what point did I promise to be 17 forever?" And that hit me in the chest because she's like, "Why? Just because you are stuck on this image of me, and even us now, like me and you and
Mhm.
everybody listening, just because we knew Britney from 2013, that's not Britney now."
Yeah.
And at what point did she promise to be the Britney we know and we remember forever?
Yeah.
And that's something I want people to remember before they criticize like her crazy dance videos and her naked videos and pictures that she posts of herself and her rants or what looks like are manic episodes. She doesn't owe us shit.
Yeah, but it's not so manic sometimes when I see some of the like when people were going back through her like her music videos and stuff and the
Mhm.
twirling, that is how she danced
Yeah.
actually.
Mhm.
And she
And
just wants to
she just
dance.
wants to dance. She didn't get to do like the routine they had in Vegas when she talked
Yeah.
about, "I begged them to change one song, one
Yeah.
thing to be different. Please, like, let me dance. Let me feel this." And she was like, "But it was the same routine every single night for years. And they would not let me deviate from it." And then it surprised me when she talked about she went to some kind of like legends thing or whatever, where she sat in audience and saw other people perform her songs in different remixes and
Her
renditions. And she was
sister.
yeah, and she was like, "I just sat there and I could only smile. That's what I had to do." But inside, I was dying watching
Her
them do the
sister came
things.
out. They were trying to get
Yeah,
them to do like a show and her sister
mhm,
was going to get to remake one of her songs and Britney's
yeah.
like, "I've been
I've been
begging
begging to do this, and now you're letting my sister do it on a stage in front of me, and I have to sit here and
of my own
smile.
song."
Yes. I mean, like, I understood more now why she is the way she is and the things that she does now. And I always wondered about Blackout, that album. That's one of my favorite albums that she's done. But I always felt a little guilty listening to it because that was in one of the worst moments of her life. And I thought, like, it was kind of like listening to, like, I don't know, like listen to one where an artist where that they went through some hard shit and it was really sad. And I'm like, I kind of feel bad how much I love this album because
Yeah.
that's when she was going through like the worst with her kids and shaving her head and all this stuff. But then she talks about how that's one of her favorite albums. That was she thought one of the best she made because she was able to put her heart into it. And that was the last album she made that was truly her own album. And I was like, that actually shined a light on that for me too,
Mhm.
because I was like, damn, everybody was saying like how, low she was. And this album came out and it had I mean, it's Britney bitches on there. I mean, come on,
I
like
know.
that's such a great song. But, I thought it was interesting that she mentioned that album in particular too, because it was around that time. But, the other thing that she said on here that I like teared up when I listened to it. And she said, "My most special moments in life were taking naps with my children. That's the closest I ever felt to God. Taking naps with my precious babies, smelling their hair, holding their tiny hands." God. It makes me wanna cry thinking about it
Yeah.
again because those children were just used
They were
against
pawns.
her. Yeah. They were used to tear her in half, and it fucking did.
And,
Oh, so sad.
I would never want to have emotional scars or say that, but I could
Mhm.
see you maybe even starting to resent them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sadly, that
Yeah.
this item has now been used and abused against you in the worst kind of way that it would probably give
Mhm.
you PTSD.
Yeah. Well, and even, like, her children now, if they, and I'm not sure how her children behave now, but let's say they come in and they reject her.
They do.
Imagine what that feels like
I couldn't.
to to have your kids used against you, to have that relationship undermined and ruined by your family, and then your kids resent you for it.
Yeah, because
Like,
they believe
they
the
believe
grandpa and the
that, yeah,
dad.
the shit that was fed to them. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you have a little bit of compassion for Brittany, I think it's a great read. It's quick, it's not very long, but it does give a lot of insight. I don't think we found out anything necessarily new, but you find out her side of the story. And I think that's new information, what
Yeah,
actually happened to her from what we saw in the media and what we assumed was happening behind closed
yeah,
doors.
yeah.
Yeah.
Madonna unfollowed Justin Timberlake today.
Did she really? That motherfucker is gonna get his. Like, hell or high water, he's gonna get it.
They're like,
Yeah.
we're trying to move beyond the past. She hasn't had her moment yet. She didn't get to talk
Mm-mm.
about it like you did.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
go
this is
cry me
her
a
turn,
river somewhere else.
right? This is her turn, bitch. Mm-mm. Alright, we've been talking for a while. Let's talk about Mink. Let's get on her stuff. We could do a whole episode about Brittany. Alright, so up today is Sweet Obsession by Mink, and I'll read you her author bio. Mink writes sweet and salty romances that always satisfy with a happily ever after. Her dream job is editor-in-chief at Cat Fancy, and she can be found with a kitty in her lap, her Kindle in her hand, and a cup of coffee steaming next to her. Let's see. Oh, the Sweet Obsession book bio. Let me read that. I'm a specialist ops agent, more or less, though I don't let the government tell me what to do. Private contractor, part of a gang of women who infiltrate black ops and run riot on the bad guys. There's one bad guy in particular I've had my eye on, Bartow, excuse me. Maybe he's not bad in the classic sense, but he's certainly bad for me, always stealing my focus. So now I'm going to steal something from him. At least that's the plan until I get caught. Until Vane shows me exactly why he flusters me, fascinates me, and ignites every bit of curiosity and desire I have inside. So, Sweet Obsession is part of the Unexpected series. Unexpected Devotion is the first in the series and is on sale for 99 cents right now. Each book in the series is a standalone and in Kindle Unlimited. And also, Mink has a book that's free right now. It's called His Tiger Queen. We will post a link in the show notes. And her giveaway this week is a signed paperback of Royal Love and a $25 gift card. So that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's send them in.
Okay.
We'll see you guys on the other side.
Bye.
This is Sweet Obsession by Mink, read for you by Stephanie K. Chapter 1. Ocean. Can one die of boredom? I flip over the hoverboard I've been playing around with for a few weeks now, off and on. What else is there to do? My best friends are lame. I could go practice pickpocketing. I sigh. It's not as thrilling as it once was. People make it way too easy. All their attention on their phones. No situational awareness. Glitch, turn on the police scanners, I call out, wanting to fill the silence in my warehouse. Even though the airwaves are quiet these days, too. All right, let's see what we got. I flip the hoverboard back over. 6 months ago, I beat the world record for the distance to get a hoverboard to travel. Not that anyone gets to know that. Most of my work stays just that. Mine. They're my toys. I'm not looking for any sort of credit. I've helped a few companies with a handful of patents, but I was always in it for the trades, not the accolades. There are some things in this world that I can't get my hands on. Not a ton of them, but a few here and there. The girls and I can do a lot, but there are still only 3 of us. Lights up! Glitch brightens the lights in the room. I grab my sneakers off one of my many workstations and replace my boots with them. I should probably be working on how to get the board to travel longer distances, or go higher. I was doing exactly that until I got my hands on some Zeal stealth technology. It was a trade for a job I helped the government with a month ago. It's only used by the military. This is the sort of stuff that excites me. Agent Duffy, who randomly calls for odd jobs, offered it to me. She damn well knew I wouldn't be able to resist and would jump at the opportunity to get my hands on some, even if it was only a small amount. So, yeah, I'm making my hoverboard invisible. I pull my gloves on next. Wave, I call to the board, holding my hand out. The board flips as it rises from off the ground, flying toward me. I grab her midair. Incoming call from Magic, Glitch announces. She's calling? Weird. Normally, her sneaky ass will pop up on you. The girl really is magic when it comes to the cyber world. I release my board, letting it drop to hover a foot off the ground. I jump up on it. Stealth. The board switches over from a bright blue to invisible. To be honest, it takes some getting used to. Even though you can still feel it under your feet, the loss of sight can make you feel off balance. Answer! I start spinning around as Magic's face lights up across the screen on the left wall. The hell? She mutters when she sees me. What? I can float now. I shrug. You really shouldn't be left alone. Her nose scrunches. I know she's going over a million ideas in her head. Sorry, Magic, but this not even you can touch. I do another spin. The hoverboard is magnetic. It's part of how I can pull it to me with my gloves. How did you get your hands on Zeal's stealth? That's what you have on it, right? Yep, I chirp. It bends light waves around it, so that don't try to flood me with all your engineering stuff to avoid my question. How did you get it? She repeats. I should have known my tactics wouldn't work on her. Maybe I did a job for Buffy. What? When? You didn't tell me? You're pregnant, I remind her. I gotta do something. I can't just sit here. Still, whatever she had you doing, I could have ghosted with you. That's what we do. Magic was always the voice in my ear when I did anything. You don't need the stress. Plus, you're busy. I start to sway back and forth on the board. It's no big deal. I lie. I don't want it to be a lie, but this is hard. Magic, Rebel, and I have always been a team. They were my family. The problem is, they've kind of grown and started new lives. They have real families. I've been on my own my whole life. I bounced around a lot. Families often found me to be a handful. I was always getting into something and taking it apart trying to understand how everything worked. That didn't go over well for me at times, but I never stopped doing it. Then, one day, I got picked up by a fancy prep school on a scholarship. It's how I met Magic and Rebel to begin with. The 3 of us clicked from the very start. We were inseparable until the real world came along. I wasn't shocked when Rebel got her man. That was only a matter of time. It might have taken a few explosions to get the ball rolling for them, but in the end, it all worked out. Damn, that had been fun. Rebel was more than willing to get her hands dirty. I miss the days of us blowing shit up. I'm sorry, Magic says softly. I'm fine, I think. She lets out a huff. Magic isn't always the best at reading people. It can be rather endearing and entertaining at times. Well, I've got something for you. I stop swaying, curious of what she has. I got information that Cyprus has a new technology. At the moment, it's completely untraceable. Nothing can pick it up. Cool. Cypress. Of course, the name isn't new to me, or anyone for that matter. Vane Bartow owns it now. It's been passed down through his family. All a bunch of geniuses. His name and face both annoy me. You don't get to be that smart and hot, too. Even his stupid hair is thick and shiny. Then that damn smirk of his. We've been in the same room a few times before. I've tried not to stare, but it's near impossible. Cool? Magic leans back. She just said, cool. I know she's talking to her husband, Owen. Sounds like she's trying to play it cool, he says from off-screen. It is cool. My board and I can be untraceable one day. I can pop up on your ass then. I don't like that very much. Magic's face grows serious. She's not a fan of someone having control over something that could be so powerful. If anything, she wants to know how. I'm with her on that. I don't care for not being in the know. I'm nosy as shit. So, I jump down off the board. It might be fun to fuck with Vane Bartow. I bet I'm only a blip on his radar, and likely because my hair is always dyed a different color. It kind of stands out when you're in a room full of people in suits, lab coats, or even men armed to their teeth. You have a plan? Didn't Cypress try to hire you? I think. Some woman reached out to me a few times, maybe. I smirk. A lot of people try to hire me. That makes you sound like a whore. Rebel! I shout. The screen splits in half as Rebel joins. She only said it was cool, Magic tells Rebel. That something could be completely untraceable? She said that was just cool? Yes, she said cool. Fuck me. Now Rebel? She's excellent at reading people. Maybe she is a little whore after all. Why was I excited to see you? I roll my eyes. It's Bartow, isn't it? Heat blooms through my face. He's handsome. Rebel wiggles her eyebrows. Then she lets out a small scream after I hear a slap that I know landed on her ass. I was just teasing my friend. She pouts. Watch it, I hear her husband say. She sticks her tongue out at him. They might be married now, but she still clearly loves pushing his buttons. All right, hit me with it before your husbands pounce on you so I can get a start on whatever it is you're about to get me into. The screens that line the other wall start to light up with information. Blueprints of buildings, classified information, and a very detailed run-through of Vane Bartow. He's predictable for the most part, Magic says. I glance over his schedule. Too predictable, I mutter, already getting sucked into Cypress. And Vane Bartow. Chapter 2. Vane. Not a single radar ping. I sit back in my chair as I watch the drone's video feed. It soars over my estate, the entire thing like a giant bird of prey, one that can't be seen by the human eye or sensed by any tech currently available. No heat signature, not even a sound. Cass hits a few keys and pulls up another camera, one set below the drone. Check it out, she points to the screen. As far as anyone knows, it's a clear blue sky. The camera doesn't detect the drone, not even a hint of it rippling through the image. It's almost a ton of metal and tech, but it may as well be a ghost. The military is going to cream itself for this. Cass grins and runs a hand across her buzz cut. They would. I tap a key and start the autopilot landing sequence. But I didn't create this for the war machine. She arches a brow. Then, what's the plan? The plan is already in action. My trap is set. A tiny leak to a certain hacker has piqued my quarry's interest. So much so, in fact, that she's planning a little visit to my R&D campus. I can't help my smirk. Leaving a very specific trail of breadcrumbs wasn't particularly easy, especially considering who I'm intending to lure. I had to make it seem as if my top-secret tech was being leaked, unbeknownst to me. As if I'd ever allow such a thing. But I played the part, leaving certain unhackable systems with the door ever so slightly ajar. A tiny sliver of space for Ocean and her crew to sneak in, get a look, and duck back out. "Are we trapping who I think we're trapping?" Cass asks. I nod. She lets out a long breath. "You really think she's going to fall for it?" "How would she know it's a trap?" I shrug. "She has no idea I'm on to her." "And what do you plan to do once you have her?" "Everything. I've been playing this cat and mouse game for long enough. For over a year now, I've watched her and waited. I first saw her at a top-secret Joint Chiefs meeting. She was there with the FBI, her handler giving her the floor to answer questions about the new tech she'd discovered on one of her spying missions to China. I'd been mesmerized, my analytical mind utterly failing to function as I stared at her, at the way she moved, at the nervous fidget in her fingers as so many powerful people listened to her, at the way she spoke with confidence and strength. I knew at that moment I'd met my match. But she wasn't the sort who'd accept anything less than a worthy opponent. Just like I knew I had to have her, I also knew that winning her wasn't going to be easy. Even so, I tried to get her on my team, sending Cass to make her offer after offer. She turned them down each time, just as I knew she would. With Ocean, there are no shortcuts. I have to show her who I am, what I can do, and why I'm the only man for her. Everything is a tall order. Once the drone is in the hangar, Cass shuts down the controls. She deserves my best shot. I turn back to my computer and quickly add video of the test flight into my personal server. Then I go into the firewall and tinker with the code before backing out and shutting down. Cass stands over my shoulder. "Is there a reason you left yet another pinhole in our security?" I rise. "I think you know there is. You realize those 3 women aren't the only ones looking for a way into your files," she chides. "You sure this is a good idea?" "I'm aware, but I'm not too worried. Those 3 are the only ones who could find the breach, let alone exploit it. My breadcrumbs have been surgically precise." I flip off the lights and she walks at my side as we stroll toward the main house. "If anyone else shows up, I'll know." "Maybe I should make another run at trying to get her on our team." She pulls out her phone and clicks on a text from Daphne. A smile grows on her face. "What?" "She said the baby kicked." She breaks into a full grin. "She can feel it, like the flutter of wings under her skin," she says. I glance out at the fading sun. "It's late. Get home to her. We'll do another test run tomorrow." "Sounds good." She's already speed-walking toward the east wing where the garage is. "I'll see you in the morning." I can hear her dialing, then her voice fading down the hall. "You really felt it? Our baby? Oh my God, babe. I'm coming home now. Right now. I'm going to rub your feet and then we can watch that show." Cass got her happily ever after 3 years back when she met Daphne. The 2 of them were inseparable from the moment they crossed paths, though there was some gunplay involved since Daphne was working for an enemy government at the time. Their sort of strong, enduring love was something that I thought I'd never experience. All that changed when I met Ocean, when I looked into her eyes and saw my own soul reflected back at me. My phone dings with an alert. I pull it out and open the tracking software I created specifically for monitoring Ocean's activities. My heart beats a little faster as I follow their hacker through my system. She encounters a little trouble with the piece of the firewall I left intact, but after about 5 minutes of wrangling, she busts through and uses the tiny exploit I left behind to enter my server. Sitting down on my couch, I cast the app onto my large screen, watching each moment as Ocean creeps closer and closer to me. She's in there with her friends, all of them tiptoeing around my files. I can feel her, sense her, and when I see them open the video from the drone trial, I know I have her. Once they have what they came for, they quickly cover their tracks and back out of the exploit, leaving no trace they were ever there. With a few taps on my phone, I slam the firewall closed again. Then I click over to my app that's locked into Ocean's personal computer. I view her screen, watching as she starts checking flights that will bring her straight to me. This is it. I can't stop smiling. My trap is about to spring shut on Ocean. I'll have her right where I want her, and I'll show her we're meant to be together. All I have to do is wait for my sweet little spy to come prowling. When she does, she's mine. Chapter 3. Ocean. I owe Buffy a favor now, and this ID is trash, I tell Magic as I make my way out of the airport. I'm not mad about the ID, even though Magic named me Anita Booby. I know she didn't come up with that name. That was Rebel's doing, but Magic went along with it. You didn't have to take your board, thingy. Her name is Wave. Someone could have stolen her. You need a whole SWAT team to break into your warehouse. I'd steal her, I mutter. You don't know how badass she is. That's not saying much since you steal everything. I do not. The line goes quiet. Well, not everything. I pull the Rolex out of my pocket. The man next to me on the plane was a douche canoe who deserved what he got. Not only was he an asshole to the flight attendants, but he kept giving me snide looks. I could tell he was wondering why I was in first class with him. I mean, so what I hack and steal points to get upgraded? That's none of his business. I think I preferred the initial snobby looks he was giving me, because once he got a few drinks in him, he was giving me different kinds of looks. Your driver is pulling up in 10 seconds. I glance over my shoulder, seeing the closest surveillance camera, and know Magic is watching me. You're an asshole! A girl about my age shouts into her phone. I can tell she's about to burst into tears. You're married! Oh, shit. This situation does not sound good. Your lift, Magic says into my ear. I don't need your money to get myself back home. The girl ends her call. Something inside me tells me she does need money to get home. Call it women's intuition or whatever. Hey, I call the girl. What's your name? She's not sure if she should answer me. I'm a flight attendant, I lie. I can get you a flight if you need it. Really? Her demeanor changes immediately. Yeah. She gives me her name and where she's headed. Check in with Durlax. You're on the next flight out. OMG, thank you. She hugs me. I do something nice, and now I have to hug. I can hear Magic clicking away, and I know she's handling it for me. Men are dicks. I hand her the Rolex. Don't let anyone give you less than $8,000 for that, I tell her before I slip into my waiting vehicle. She stands there shocked as the driver closes my door. That was nice of you, Magic says. Whatever. I just needed to get rid of stolen property. Right. Why didn't one of you marry a billionaire? Then we'd have a plane. I huff. Then I wouldn't have to call Agent Buffy to get Wave onto a flight. Vane Bartow is a billionaire, Magic points out. She just couldn't wait to slide that in there. I bet she's so proud of herself over there. Okay, I'll go marry him, and then he has to give me half his shit. Then I'll have what we came for. Do you want to change your plan of action? That was sarcasm. Vane Bartow isn't going to marry me. You can just make him. I laugh, unable to help myself. That is how she perseveres. She wanted her husband Owen and went full stalker mode. Little did we know he had already been stalking her. I thought he was a serial killer. Wait, he might still qualify. So I was right. I'm not his type. I cringe the second the words pass my lips. Not only because I know Magic is about to try and find out if that is true, but I don't care to hear about his past lovers. I bet they're tall and blonde with perfect everything. The total opposite of me. Don't. I try to stop her from digging into any of his past lovers or hookups. I don't want to know. All I want from him is his technology. Nothing else. Not one thing. I swear it. I'm not. I just realized that in everything I pulled up on him, there hadn't been any romantic connections. I thought maybe he had a secret one that he had his assistant Cass buy things for, but those items were for her own wife. You really leave no stone unturned. When it comes to the Bartow family, you can't. She's not wrong there. I haven't heard anything dirty on the family, but they have money and have been in the tech and engineering world for generations. Vane was barely a teen when he and his father helped create STAR. It was short for Systematic Tracking Array Radar. That isn't public knowledge. STAR can do a lot of things, but what it does best is save lives. There are a few versions of it, but its powerful radar catches missiles while in the air, and it intercepts them before they can strike their target. God, I wonder what his lab and work area looks like. I couldn't imagine the possibility of things I could create if I had the resources he did at my fingertips. The possibilities would be endless if I owned my own setup like his. Oh, I've been offered the opportunity from many companies. I've never accepted any of them. Because then I'd be under them and would always worry that whatever I was working on could do more harm than good. In my eyes, at least. Not in others. I'm also not really a punching in at 8 a.m. and out at 5 p.m. kind of person. I work on what I want when I want. With Magic, Rebel, and I, we all have a set of skills. I can do some hacking, nowhere near the level that Rebel and Magic can. I'm not great at sitting and staring at a screen. Ocean? Magic shouts in my ear. What? She and the driver both tell me I'm at my destination. Thanks, I got my bags, I tell him. I slap down a few bills. I'm sure Magic already handled it, but it's not my money. I'd give him this whole wallet I'd gotten with a man's Rolex, but it might not go down well. I grab my shit and stand on the sidewalk watching the man pull away. When he turns the corner, I head in the other direction. 2 streets up, take a left, and it's the 4th door on the right, Magic tells me. I walk toward my destination. You know I don't need 6 bedrooms. I head up the stairs to the front door. It's close to Vane's place. Close? I joke. I saw the layout of his estate. It's massive. The closest house we could get. The code for the door is 74. I'm in. I cut her off. Of course you are. I turned off the alarms. Owen said everything you need was dropped off. There should be a box. I spot it on a table. The motorcycle? It's in the garage. All right. I drop my shit. Well, everything except Wave. I gently place her on the sofa. I'll reach out when I'm almost there. I check the time. I've got a few hours to kill, which I need. I open the box filled with goodies and smile. A nervous excitement hums through my body. This is going to be so much fun. Chapter 4. Vane. She's here. I can't sit down, can't stand still, can't do anything except pace back and forth, my gaze on my monitors as she moves closer and closer. She's cocky, not waiting till dark to make her move. The sun is low on the horizon as she skirts around the back edge of my property, dressed in a dark gray that seems to change color to match whatever she's standing next to. Nice tech. I lose her here and there in the feed, but I can sense her. Some sort of board is tucked under her arm as she prowls closer and closer. You ready for this? Cass asks, leaning against the doorframe and watching as I pace. I was worried this moment would never come, but now it's here. I grin. I guess that's all the answer I need. You can go. I wave a hand at her, my eyes still on the screen. Give Daphne my love." "You sure? She's not exactly harmless, boss. Quite the opposite. If she gets the drop on you, she could do some Go. Seriously, I've got this." I finally stop pacing when she pauses at a spot along my wall, her gaze focusing upward. Then my cameras go fuzzy and click off. Cass groans as the screens go dark one after another. Have I mentioned how much I don't like this plan? Only a million times. Don't worry. I stride past her, my steps growing quicker as I approach one of my rear doors. "I'll be close if you need me." Cass calls at my back. "Don't worry. All I do is worry." She grumbles, but she doesn't follow me as I walk out the back door and stride toward my research building. It's along the side wall of my estate, quite close to where Ocean just made her entrance. Her friends may have disabled my cameras, but I have a backup set, ones that aren't connected to my usual network. I snagged some old-school closed-circuit units from eBay a while back, just for this purpose. Pulling up my phone, I access the hidden network, then enter the feed. The visuals aren't particularly clear, but I see movement, and I know it's her. She's floating off the ground, easing along the cinder block wall of my lab, her hand held out as she skates past. That looks like fun. I smile and pocket my phone, then pick up my pace and dash into the front of my building, the door automatically locking behind me. The hangar is ahead to my right, the drone sitting in its berth, fully visible at present. She's not here for the drone proper. She's here for the data unit inside it. I keep to the shadows, moving around my front office area and into the hangar, making sure I'm out of sight of my cameras. They may be dark for me, but I'm certain Ocean's friends are keeping an eye on them. It's hard to stay still, but I have to. Even though every single cell in my body is vibrating at some unknown, insane frequency, I remain silent and stationary. I can't spring my trap until she's within my grasp. Just the thought of holding her makes my blood heat. And I wonder if waiting like this might push me off the cliff into madness. To have her so close, to be so near my ultimate goal, it's like fire in my veins. When I see a shadow move around to the left of the drone, my heart kicks up its pace. It's a wonder she can't hear it beating. "Well, hello, beautiful," she purrs to the machinery. Her voice is sultry, so fucking sexy. My mouth goes dry, and my need for her seems to rise inside me like some dark beast. Then again, who am I kidding? I am a beast. I lured her here with the sole goal of keeping her, of making her mine. Let me help you into something more comfortable. She's beneath the body of the craft, her fingers skating along the metal until she reaches the removable panel. It comes off easily, and she places it on the floor. I get a better glimpse of her curves. No amount of camouflage could hide them from me. I could swear I catch her scent, something warm and almost sweet, like a hint of warm honey. I move closer, unable to stop myself from being drawn to her. She's focused on the drone, and she clicks on a flashlight and holds it between her lips as she unscrews the control unit from the drone's guts. She doesn't see me as I creep closer. I'm right behind her when she straightens, the control unit in her hand. Then she turns around. "Ocean, I've been..." A cry catches in her throat, and she moves so quickly all I see is a blur before blinding pain lights up my nose. She fucking punched me. I don't know why I didn't plan for this. I suppose I thought it would go a little less violently. "Ocean!" I reach for her, but she darts to the left and yanks something from the air. It's the board she's been working on. It's camouflaged even better than she is. She jumps onto it and turns it toward the hangar door. I make a split-second decision. With a jump, I lunge for her and tackle her from the board. She screams as I turn and cradle her in my arms, cushioning her with my body as we hit the concrete floor. It knocks the breath out of me, and she fights like a cat, screaming and writhing in my arms. I roll her over, pinning her to the floor. She's warm beneath me, her body made for mine. Let go! Get off me! But I don't let her go. Even though I taste blood from my busted nose and one of my ribs might be broken, I'm never letting her go. Chapter 5. Ocean. Vane keeps me pinned under him. In the few times I've met him, I noticed he was a big man. With him on top of me, he feels twice the size I recall. It didn't go unnoticed that when he tackled me, he wrapped his body around mine to make sure he took the brunt of the fall onto the concrete floor. Oh, it felt like concrete, but I'd bet my life it is some high-tech flooring that's filled with pressure sensors. It's why I hoped the board would get me inside and buy some time before it set any alarms off. I don't know who is breathing harder, him or me. Vane could fit in with the Predict 6 if they suited him up in their gear. The team has been in a few meetings I was dragged into by Buffy. I hate when she does that to me. Buffy knows exactly how to sink her claws into me, flashing pictures of women and children that need to be saved, ones that I could help. She targets my weak spot to get what she wants, knowing damn well that I couldn't live with myself if I didn't assist the helpless who needed a hand. The weight of it can be overwhelming, but then guilt always gets me. How did I get tossed into the foster system with such gifts as mine? Did I waste that all on my silly projects in my warehouse? Or did I do what I thought was the right thing? The Predict 6 are the real assassination team for America. Sure, they show you a group of Marines and tell you that they've taken out an atrocious leader, but really, it was the Predict 6. Whoever they flashed across your screen weren't the real people behind the mission. They are just the faces they want you to see. Few people know who they are. I don't even know their names. Even in meetings, their faces are often covered in black masks with only their eyes showing. I could only make out that at least one of them is a female. A tiny thing, but I bet that's part of her surprise when it comes to the enemy. They probably underestimate her, and she uses it against them. Magic might know more about them or be able to find out additional information, but it's not something I'd ask her unless needed. I don't always agree with some things our government did, but the Predict 6 did what a lot of us couldn't. I'm happy I don't have to make those decisions. They are a bonded team. That's something I can relate to. As long as they stay in line, I'm not putting my nose where it doesn't belong, and I have a feeling they think the same. This is why I need Rebel. She is my team, but she can't be rolling around on a hard floor while she's knocked up. Vane would never have gotten the drop on her, but she couldn't have found the panel as quickly as I did. I know it's crazy, but when I simply touch a machine, everything about it starts to bleed into me. Thoughts of what I would do if it was mine, and I crafted it myself, almost overwhelm me. It doesn't take me long to find what I'm searching for, typically. I'd been so lost in the beauty of the drone and focused on wanting to know everything about it that I hadn't seen Vane. Honestly, I didn't think it would be him I would come up against, but one of his security. Motherfucker! I hiss in realization. There hadn't been much security at all, which could only mean one thing. Are you hurt? He asks me. You're dripping blood on me, and I can't get this dry cleaned. I glare up at him. Vane smirks, the blood dripping down his nose not bothering him in the least. It doesn't help that my fucked-up brain thinks he's even hotter now. I'll replace it. Pretty sure it's my technology. I could upgrade it for you if you'd like. Upgrade? Is there something new? Wait, I remind myself to stay on task here. It was your very basic design already, but I'll take what you got. I smirk right back up at him. Obviously, I made a few improvements. I can't help but go in for a small jab. I'm sure it's my ego. At least I can admit that. I shouldn't be so cocky. Vane has a whole lot more power than I do. I bet he even has the president's number. I'm sure that comes with making some of the best technology the world has ever seen. Hell, his grandfather helped create the trench gun. Its devastation hadn't been fully intended for what it could do, but it was quickly realized for all of its capabilities. His family was destroying Nazis before it was cool. Thank God it never fell into the wrong hands. That's the line you always ride, wondering if what you're creating is going to do more harm than good. I bet Vane rides that line with every breath he takes. I'm sure more than most people in the whole fucking world. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. I can't let that comment go. This is going to hurt, I tell him as I push my wrist upwards to make full contact with his body. Fire, I tell my gloves. I hear the shock go off, but nothing happens. What the hell? How is this even possible? Vane still keeps me pinned beneath him. I purse my lips. Of all the times one of my creations was going to fail me, of course it chooses now. You didn't think I'd know you'd try to taser me? But how? I question. I guess he could have something that pulls and grounds the current, but it would still need to travel through the body. I think. Biology isn't my area of expertise. Clearly, Vane knows all areas. As I said, I'll show you my trick if you show me yours. Let me go, and we'll pretend this never happened. That's not going to work for me. You've already seen too much. I've already seen too much. People will come for me, I threaten. I can have a government army surround my home in one call. It would take your friends a while to work past that. My mind flashes back to how little staff security I'd seen around here. It had been too easy to get in. The stupid red flag was there, and I ignored it. My greed and need to find Vane, the tech, blinded me. This was a trap, I whisper. He set me up. He somehow knew I was coming. What does he want from me? Oh, God. Is he a double agent or something? Has he gone rogue? Does he think I might have information? Will he try to extract it from me? I know this is not the time, but with him being so close, my mind can't help but wonder what methods he would use to get this information. I quickly push those thoughts to the back of my mind. Focus, Ocean. It is. His hold on me tightens. I hate to do this, Liberty, but it's the only way I can manually lock this place down, so your friends can't creep their way in through technology. You know my name. No one knows my real name. I know everything, he says before kissing me. It comes out of nowhere, surprising the hell out of me. Just as much as a small prick I feel enter my skin before the world starts to fade away. Everything is like a dream pulling me under. Vane Bartow is the last thing I see before I fall asleep. But then again, I often see him there. Chapter 6. Vane. Her eyes flutter open and she glares at me immediately, sleep draining from her like water from a reservoir. She's in my bed, the entire compound on lockdown. My trap snapped firmly shut on her, just as I planned. What the fuck do you think you're doing? She sits up and looks around, scanning for a weapon, no doubt. I needed to get you alone. What? She yanks the duvet up to her throat. You're a tough woman to track down, much less hang on to. I figured if I set a trap, she hisses. This whole thing was a trap. Her gaze darts around the room again. What do you intend? Sell me to some enemy government? Ransom me back to Buffy? She gives a humorless laugh. She'd never pay up. Her eyes narrow. But you wouldn't want money. What is it? A competitor has some sort of secret tech you're after? You think you can leverage me to— You have quite the imagination. I smirk and sit on the corner of the bed. She shrinks back. What is this? Exactly what I said. I wanted you alone. She swallows hard. You don't mean to... Her cheeks burn scarlet as she looks down at the black duvet. I'd never hurt you. I interject quickly. I need you to know that. Her shoulders relax the tiniest bit, but the skepticism doesn't leave her face. You drugged me and dragged me into your bedroom. I can't trust anything you say. She glances down at herself. Where's my gear? An edge of panic coats her voice. It's safe, just as you are. I stand slowly, carefully, doing my best not to stress her more than I already have. I drugged you so you wouldn't hurt yourself. I know you're a fighter. I press my fingers to my nose, as evidenced by the fact that you nearly broke my nose. I couldn't have you trying anything, as I put the place on lockdown. It was safest that way. But now you have free reign. She quirks a brow. Cool. So where's the weapons cabinet? The side of my mouth twitches with the hint of a smile. In time, Liberty. But for now, how about some dinner? I stride to the bedroom door and open it. Felix is sitting outside. Typical to his tuxedo cat DNA, he gives me a haughty glance and prances past, jumping onto the bed and walking right up to Ocean, as if he's asking her who she is and if she's free later. When she reaches out eagerly to pet him, a bizarre wave of jealousy washes over me. I quickly swallow it down. He's bossy, and he leaves hair on everything. Fair warning. That's okay. I'm bossy too. She smiles, the tension leaving her as Felix purrs and rubs his head against her chin. I bet you aren't bossy at all. I bet you are sweet. Are you a captive too? It's okay. I'll bust us out of here. You aren't in danger. I'll take you away from the bad man. She baby talks the little brat, and he eats it up, his whiskers at attention. I want to get in bed with her, touch her, talk to her, tell her everything is as it was meant to be. But I don't. She needs space. I'll give it to her. After all, it's not as if she's going anywhere. Cass has already canceled every meeting I had on the calendar for the next 2 weeks. The president was pissed, but she's just going to have to wait. Ocean takes precedence. The kitchen is to the left. I glare at Felix for a moment as he turns and looks at me over his shoulder. If you want wet food tonight, you'll lay off. Oh, don't listen to him. Ocean plants a kiss on top of his head. If there's wet food, you're getting double servings. And then you and I can knife that guy over there, steal all his top secrets, and head out. Sound good? The traitorous bastard purrs and butts against her head again. I grumble under my breath and walk away. I need to start the lemon sauce after all. Ocean's favorite meal is chicken piccata with a side of garlic mashed potatoes. I've studied the recipes from her favorite restaurant and copied them exactly, right down to the amount of salt and pepper. Glancing back, I see Felix shoot into the hallway and then Ocean peeking out the door. It's just the two of us, but I'm afraid I had to lock up anything you could use as a weapon. Once you've come to terms with our relationship, I think— Relationship? She steps into the hall and crosses her arms, the movement pushing up her breasts. Heat rushes up my spine as I look at her, the curves of her body on display beneath her black tank top and yoga pants. It's like a dream to have her here, right in my grasp. But I have to go slowly. It's not like she's going to get away, and soon I'll convince her that this is where she belongs. Yes, you and me, together. She scoffs and follows Felix as he trots after me, wet food no doubt at the forefront of his mind. You realize my friends are always mobilizing. I'll be out of here in an hour, tops. Oh, I'm aware they're coming. I smile as I walk into the kitchen. But they won't get anywhere near you. So, I'm a prisoner then? She leans against the doorframe as I turn on the burner and start the sauce. No, you're my guest. Your guest? Aren't guests allowed to leave? I pour in the lemon juice, the pan steaming pleasantly, as I turn around and grab a spatula. Her attention is on me, her gaze tracing down my back before she meets my eyes again. I smirk. Yes, my guest for now, but sooner than later, also my wife. Chapter 7. Ocean. His words knocked the wind right out of me. More so than when he tackled me to the ground in his badass warehouse. Which, I'm guessing, is only the tip of the iceberg for Vane and his labs, or whatever you want to call them. His wife? Have I woken up in a different dimension? Do Vane and his crazy family know about time travel and black holes? My head starts to spin. It always does when I try to understand the depths of the universe. I can't wrap my head around the fact that you can see into the past. It was, after all, Vane's family who created a telescope that overpowered the Hubble. Now we have the Bartow space scope that fucks with my mind, just as much as Vane does himself. I prefer to be grounded. Well, not really, but I do want to remain here on Earth and stay in current time. I'm not trying to understand time travel. That's not something you can wrap your hands around. Or maybe I could with Vane, but it's the biology that gets me. A human can't move quickly enough to go back into time. You'd die. I know that much. Then again, what if Liberty? Vane saying my name jerks me back to reality. If this is, in fact, reality, it sure as heck doesn't feel like it at the moment. Am I awake? Is this real? I smack the countertop, making Felix jump. Sorry. I apologize immediately to my new furry friend. Real? Vane smirks. He flips off the stove before moving toward me. I should scoot away from him, but instead, my feet remain planted where they are. Likely because I'm in virtual reality, and he's pinned them to the ground. Why else would I let him draw closer? It's not like I want that in any way. I don't. Definitely not. His hand cups my cheek before he presses his mouth against mine in a gentle kiss. It's only a brush of his lips. Nothing has ever been more real in my life. Vane's words make my chest grow tight. His hand slips from my cheek to grip my chin in a firm hold. I should smack him away, but I don't. Obviously, this isn't real. Nor is the feeling of my entire body being on fire from him being so close. Vane Bartow is kissing me and declaring me to be his wife. I bet whatever he shot me up with earlier hasn't worn off yet, and I'm imagining this entire scenario. Well, I might as well enjoy it for a little while. Open, he orders. I obey. Don't judge me. I can't help myself. There is something about him taking control that melts me in a way I've never felt before. It's freeing, which is insane because I'm his captive and he's clearly crazy. Like, totally insane. His tongue slips into my mouth. At first, it's slow, trying to lure me in. It works. Vane has a way of doing that to me. I'm a moth to his flame. It's why, from the second I met him, he scared the hell out of me. My mind would dream of what could be with him. That's all it would ever be, because dreams don't come true. It doesn't matter how hard you try to make them real. That's not how people work. I've determined that dreams are stupid. I hated that late at night they would creep into my mind, and that Vane would be the star of them when I could be thinking about something else. The reality is that no one ever picked me. Rebel and Magic were my family, but they have other families. I don't. Even though they are all I have, at times I find myself pushing away from them, scared that I'll become too much, and then what? Well, I know what happens after that. When people are overwhelmed by you, they pass you on to someone else. And even though I know Rebel and Magic would never do that to me, the thought still creeps into my mind. I can tell myself they'll stay over and over again, but still I can't fight the need to run. I'm always alone. I hate myself for how jealous I am of what they have. They should both be happy. I would never dare try and take that from them. It's why I kept quiet about how I've been feeling. I didn't want them to pull back from what they found. I wouldn't want to. Both of them knew what love was. They got it from their family. I have no clue how it would be to fall for someone. It has to be different from how I felt with Magic and Rebel. I didn't know that until I watched them fall into a different kind of love. Both of them are brilliant. You couldn't fool them into love. The way it consumed them, I knew it had to be real. It also showed me that I've never had that in my life. Being that far gone for someone is such a foreign thing to me. I can't imagine opening myself up that much. Too many homes had rejected me. In the end, people find my quirks cute or fascinating, but also wearing. The only people who ever wanted me outside of Magic and Rebel were people that wanted to use me. Buffy was one of them. It wasn't me that they wanted. All they cared about was what my mind could do for them. It's ironic. I love machines. They're my whole life. But I've turned myself into one for people to use. It's why I turned away from so many companies. I never let myself get pulled too deep. Until now. I let myself be lured in. I want to feel the burn of Vane Bartow. Vane, I whimper. Do I want him to stop? Or do I want more? I swear he wants to consume me. But I can't trust myself. I want it too much. I'm sorry. He growls against my mouth, making my heart drop. I was going to feed you, but I need you. His eyes are pleading. I don't have a clue what he means until he lifts me off my feet. Before I know what's happening, my panties are down around my ankles, and Vane's head is between my thighs, feasting like a starved animal. Me being the only thing that will sate his hunger. At least, that's what I tell myself. Chapter 8. Vane. I never should have waited this long to taste her. She overwhelms me, her fucking honey on my tongue, as I lick and suck her warm skin. She jolts, and I pin her hips down, keeping her still as I explore. I need to know what makes her moan, what she wants more than anything. Pressing my tongue inside her, I savor the way she squeezes for me. And when I pull out and stroke her sweet little clit, she gasps. That's it. I murmur against her, then suck her clit between my lips. Vane! She cries, the sound so fucking good in my ears. I don't want her to hold back, not with me, not ever. I pull back and lick her with the broad side of my tongue, and when I focus back on her clit, lashing it, she moans low in her throat. Giving her more, I tease that little nub, then ease a finger into her tight pussy. Fucking hell, she feels amazing. Her body keyed up and wet for me. When she runs her fingers through my hair, I groan. My cock is surging in my pants, my need for her growing with every second. But I can't give up this taste, this delicious perfection between her thighs. Vane, Her nails dig in. I slip another finger inside, feeling her walls tense even more as I lick her clit faster and faster. She arches, her body a live wire, and I feel when she unwinds, her body letting go as I thrust my fingers into her and wish it was my cock instead. I lick and swallow, drinking all her sweetness as she moans and finally gasps, her body going lax as I keep tasting her. I don't want to stop. I can't stop. I swirl my tongue, lapping up every bit of her as she shivers. No more. I can't. Her voice is pleading. I grip her hips harder, needing more. But she makes the sweetest mewling sound, and it brings me to my senses. I back off, but first I press a kiss to her sweet cunt. When I stand, I pull her to a sitting position, her expression dazed as she meets my eyes. I bring my fingers to my mouth and lick every bit of her honey away as she watches, her mouth dropping open. You, she sputters. I ate your pussy, and I'd like to do it again. I pull her to the edge of the island, her wet heat pressed against the seam of my pants. If you'll let me. You tricked me, she says breathlessly. Led me into a trap, and then you injected me. She shakes her head and puts her hands on my chest. And then you did that. And now you're asking for permission? I lick my lips, savoring what's left of her. Sometimes I get carried away. Actually, that's not entirely true. When it comes to you, I get carried away. I cup her cheek, so fucking happy when she lets me do it. I'm sorry about the injection. I just couldn't risk you hurting yourself. I had to get you somewhere safe. Somewhere I could show you how much you mean to me, and I needed to do it without interference. She blinks. Are you about to put me down a well and tell me to put the lotion on my skin? I smirk. That's not one of your kinks. She cocks her head to the side. Excuse me? I lean down and nip at her throat, enjoying the way her pulse flickers at my touch. You have a varied porn-watching history, but extreme kidnap kink isn't in there. Having your pussy eaten, though, that's close to the top of your list. I kiss her throat. She grips my arms. You can't hack my system. No one can. I can. I meet her eyes again, my gaze straying to her lips. It's how I know everything about you. It's also how I know you're the one for me. The only one. You're verifiably insane. She shakes her head, but I notice she isn't pulling away. She isn't scared. If anything, she's even more turned on. The blush on her cheeks, the way her pupils are dilated. Fuck. She needs me almost as much as I need her. No, I'm the only man for you. You're totally nutso. Is that right? I can't help teasing her. She nods. That must be why you've searched me so many times in the past year. I had a running count, but at last check, you'd run my name and info at least 200. She slaps her hand over my mouth, her eyes going wide. That was for work. Mm-hmm, I say against her palm. Her searches went far deeper than a simple work inquiry, and we both know it. Professional curiosity, she adds, and slowly lowers her hand. That's all. It's certainly not a thing between us, and it definitely doesn't mean I'm going to marry you. You seem so decided. Her chin tilts up. I am, and I'm leaving. Now. She tries to scoot off the counter, but that only presses her even more tightly to me. I groan from the pressure of her body, the sweet torture of having her without being inside her yet. How about a wager? I ask. She stills. What? I didn't want to pull this card, but she's forced my hand. The one thing Ocean can never run from is a challenge. It's why she's so fucking irresistible to me. Let's do a wager. If you win, you can leave. If I win, you marry me. She scoffs. Like I said, you're insane. But there's a glint in her eye. If you're chicken, I'm not, she yelps, offended. Then take the wager. Her eyes narrow. What is it? Nothing huge, I shrug. Just let me take you to bed for one night. If you want to leave after that, you can. But if you don't, you're mine. And not just for the day or the week. You're mine forever. The same way I'm already yours. She chews her lip. This is nuts. So you keep saying. I drop light kisses along her jaw. And that's cheating. I shrug and keep doing it. I can't get enough contact. One night. We're going to, fuck. I fill in. Yes, just one night. Then I go. Who are you trying to convince? My hands rove higher, teasing her soft skin. She sighs, and I know the moment her walls come down. Fine, I accept. I kiss her so quickly she yelps into my mouth, and then I'm carrying her out of the kitchen, beyond ready to make her mine forever. Chapter 9. Ocean. What am I doing? Now I'm the crazy one. Am I really going to let Vane have his way with me? I mean, his mouth was magical. The pleasure of the orgasm still tingles throughout my body. He made every orgasm I've ever given myself seem pathetic. He drops me down on the bed. I scramble to my knees. There's no changing your mind, Vane says. Obviously, he's some sort of mind reader now. The man really does know me. I should be pissed that he's been snooping into my life, finding out all my shameful secrets, my obsession with him being the biggest one. It's kind of sweet. He reaches back with one hand to the collar of his shirt to pull it off. It drops to the floor. I have to keep my mouth from dropping open when my eyes meet his bare, perfect, broad chest. The man is a piece of art. I think I could orgasm if I stared at him long enough. He goes for his belt next. It hits the ground with a loud thud. When he pops the button on his pants, I get a nice view of the deep V that you see every male model in the world have. He's a genius. This isn't fair. You don't get to be a geek and have a model's body. I bet he's slept with a few models. The ones with perfect curves and long blonde hair. That thought threatens to sour my mood. Maybe we could turn the lights off. I'm loving the view, but I'm not sure how much he's going to love mine. What happens when he sees me naked? I might not be so sexy anymore to him. Not happening. He reaches for my shirt, ripping it right off me. I let out a small scream. Vane takes a deep, audible breath. The way his eyes are eating up every inch of me make my insecurities start to melt away. I'm completely naked on my knees. My panties are on the floor of the kitchen. I've never done this, I admit. I don't think I have ever felt more vulnerable than I do at this moment. I know. He drops his pants. My eyes go to the outline of his cock in his boxer briefs. Holy crap! How the heck is that thing going to fit inside of me? You don't know everything, I add in, even though it kind of feels like he might. I had my mouth all over your sweet pussy. I felt your virginity. Heat rushes to my face, and I know my cheeks are bright pink. You're right, though. I don't know everything, but I'm about to. He reaches for me. I try to scoot away, but fall backwards onto the bed. His hand wraps around my ankle. He pulls me to him. He stops when my ass is on the edge of the bed. What don't you know? I try to close my legs, but he grips my thighs, keeping me right where he wants me. And if I believe him, he'll always be there. I'd be lying if I didn't love that, but it scares the hell out of me, too. He could break me. What it will feel like to finally have you wrapped around me while my cock is buried deep inside of you. Before I can respond, his mouth is on me again. All rational thought leaves me as he licks and sucks me until I'm writhing on the bed. I come so quickly, it's almost embarrassing. But he has no one to blame but himself. He shouldn't be so damn good at it. Then maybe I could last longer. Fuck. You're breathtaking when you come. My eyes flutter open. Vane is over me. He moves me to the center of the bed. His bare cock presses against my sex. He must have ditched his boxers at some point. I'm scared, I whisper. I hate admitting that, but he probably thinks I'm referring to losing my virginity. I hear that can be a real bitch, but that's not what I'm afraid of. Liberty. He brushes some of my hair out of my face. I'm not going to hurt you. If anyone is going to get hurt, it's me. He does know what I'm referring to. Listen, my love. My insides flutter. Never in my life have I seen anything as incredible as you. If you let me have you, I'll treat you like a queen. Worship at my feet? I tease, trying to make light of this so I don't burst into tears. Worship every fucking part of you that you'll give me. I reach up to stroke the side of his face. Okay, I give, letting myself fall into whatever this is. Okay, he smirks, making him more handsome. Don't get all cocky. Love, you make me cocky. I gasp when he thrusts down, his cock pressing through the folds of my sex. Vane's other hand cups my breast, his thumb stroking my nipple. You have no fucking clue what you've done to me. What do you mean? My hips thrust up on their own, trying to grind myself against him. Vane guides his cock down to my opening, pressing the head of his cock inside of me. You think everyone is going to leave. I think everyone is only trying to use me for what I have. That's why I keep to myself. I work obsessively. Until you. He grits his teeth when my sex flutters around the head of his cock, trying to pull him more inside of me. I could be using you. You have a lot of toys around here I'd enjoy playing with. I don't care. You can use the fuck out of me, as long as you're mine. Vane, I know. You're not that kind of girl. You would never play with someone's emotions. It's not in you. The man really does know me. I just wanted you to know we're more alike than you think. We both keep people out, never letting anyone get too close. I'd say we're pretty damn close. We are. He leans down, brushing his mouth against mine. Only you have ever gotten this close. Are you saying— Yes, he answers before I can finish. His mouth presses to mine as he thrusts all the way inside of me. I whimper against his lips. He never stops kissing me. The sharp pain fades away until I only feel him. He's everywhere around me, in me. It's consuming, and I love it. When I relax, Vane starts to slowly move. He can read my body without me having to utter a word. He knows I'm ready. Small moans spill past my lips with each thrust of his hips. A different kind of pleasure builds this time. Vane is hitting a spot deep inside of me. The orgasm is already building. Vane! I grip his back, wanting to hold on to him. You're always ready to come for me. Give it to me. I can tell he's fighting himself not to come. Come for me, love. Love. That one word is all I need to send me over the edge. I wrap myself around him as the orgasm cascades through me. Vane groans my name in my ear. His body jerks as he releases deep inside of me. I swear I have another small orgasm when I feel his warmth spill into me. My body is trying to milk every last drop of his release into it. I'm not on birth control, I tell him. He lifts his head from out of my neck. That sexy smirk is back on his lips again. I know. Suddenly, there's a popping sound from somewhere inside the house, and then a familiar voice yells, "You bring her out here right fucking now! Hot talkies!" Chapter 10. Vane. Ocean slaps her hands over my eyes as my bedroom door bursts open. What? A flash bang goes off, my vision only saved by Ocean's palm. In an instant, I'm moving and snatching my pistol from the holster along the side of the bed. When I turn, I find a gun pointed at my face. A woman in a black ski mask glares at me. "Ocean, you all right?" "I'm good." Ocean sits up and tries to move past me, but I scoot her behind me again. There's no way in hell I'm letting her get hurt. "You sicko," the woman in the ski mask hisses. "Thinking you can do whatever you want just because you're worth billions. Stealing a woman and bringing her here to this rebel, it's not like that." Ocean tries to push past me again. No chance. But I relax just a little. Rebel is one of her crew. She'd never hurt Ocean. Me, on the other hand, I suppose I'll just have to wait and see. Felix appears underneath Rebel and weaves between her ankles. That little traitor. She reaches down and pets him, all while keeping her gun trained on me. Then she stands. "It's not like what?" She reaches up and removes the ski mask, her eyes narrowing on me. "This guy is a pervert." Ocean snorts a laugh. "Well, sure, but he's only perverted for me." She reaches out and presses on my wrist. I allow her to lower my gun, but I keep my gaze on Rebel. If her barrel strays toward Ocean even a little bit, we're going to have a problem. "Did he drug you? Is that what this is?" Rebel asks. "No!" Ocean swallows hard. "Wait, I mean, yes." When Rebel's barrel twitches, she hurriedly adds, "But not in a bad way. In an okay way. It's fine. I'm here of my own free will." "Yeah, because you came to steal tech, not get in this guy's bed. This is clearly some sort of hostage situation. You know the word to say. Just say it." She stares at Ocean. "The word?" I raise my brows. "Code word," Ocean says, her hand on my back. "Like hot talkies means she's throwing a flashbang. But I'm not going to say it." She pins Rebel with a stare. "Now lower that gun. Everything's okay. I'm okay." Rebel slowly drops her gun. Did you two just, all the way?" She whispers it as if that will keep me from hearing. "Yes!" Ocean laughs. I wrap my arm around her, pulling her against me. She yanks the blanket up to cover us. "I was perfectly willing, okay? Calm down. I can't believe you're here. At least magic isn't—" The lights snap off, and a distorted voice comes over the house comms. "You will release your prisoner, or I will rain hell down on your entire existence. You fucking worm!" Ocean sighs. "Never mind. Magic, we're clear. She's safe," Rebel says. "Ugh, seriously? I was going to do all this fun stuff with the lights and The lights begin flickering in staccato fashion. "And his whole house is wired so I can—" The garbage disposal starts running, and my fire alarm blares. I cover Ocean's ears. "Magic!" Rebel cries. The alarm stops. "Fine. This was absolutely zero fun." Her voice is normal now, no longer low and morphed. She's safe, right? Not harmed? What are you going to do to that conniving asshole Vane? She laughs. Ocean, you going to blow him up with his own tech? I'm all good. He's all good. Look, you two have the wrong idea. Ocean starts feeling around for her clothes. But I ripped her shirt clean off so she doesn't have one. I quickly yank my shorts from the floor and don them before running into my closet and tossing her one of my shirts. He's not a bad guy. She beams up at me. Thanks. But he set a trap for you, didn't he? Magic asks over the comms. Well, yeah. Ocean pulls on my shirt, looking absolutely perfect in it. When she stands, it falls to her thighs. I button it up for her as she talks to her friends. He set me up to get me here so he could show me that he... Looks to me like he got you here to show you his Rebel! Ocean laughs. No! I mean, she's not completely wrong. I kiss Ocean on her forehead. She looks down at my bare chest, then shoves me toward the closet. Get dressed. I don't want anyone looking at my man. Rebel whistles. Your man? Magic gasps over the speakers. I take Ocean's hands in mine. Yours? You mean it? She licks her lips. If that's what you want... I kiss her hard, taking our breath away with the force of how much I love her. She's made me the happiest man on the fucking planet with her declaration. When I finally let her catch her breath, I cradle her cheeks in my hands. Really? You'll be mine? She nibbles her lip. I mean, how could I say no to all this tech? I laugh and pull her into my arms, holding her tightly as Rebel rolls her eyes and leaves the room. We're done here. I need to get back home anyway. About time, a male voice comes from down the hall. If I recall, you promised me several sexual favors in exchange for this little adventure. What the fuck? You brought company? I ask. Hey, Gilly, Ocean calls from my arms. Hey, Ocean, keep your nose clean, and Vane, if you fuck her over, we'll fuck you up. His voice fades, and I hear the front door slam. Yeah, what Gilly said. Magic has the voice morph back on. Don't fuck this up. Magic, out. A metallic clink sounds as she exits my home security. Ocean looks up at me, her forehead wrinkling. You're the smartest tech guy in the world, pretty much. I know Rebel and Magic are good, but... I shrug. I may have left a few doors cracked for them in case they wanted to check on you. I didn't want them doing anything stupid or getting hurt. I knew you'd be upset, and I know you feel like maybe you aren't part of that family anymore, like maybe your friends have left you behind. But that's not true, and I wanted to show you just how much you mean to everyone around you. Her eyes glisten. You mean you let my friends come rescue me to make me happy? Yes. I kiss her, more gently this time. I'd do anything to make you happy. I think I love you, she whispers against my mouth. I know I love you, I reply, and then kiss the ever-loving shit out of her until the world fades and we fall back into my bed again. Epilogue. Ocean. Wouldn't you just hack it, Mommy? Ariel asks from beside me. You don't always have a computer or technology. It's good to know how things work on their own. There have been a few times I've gotten my ass out of a jam with only a screwdriver. I want her to be prepared for anything. Okay. Ariel stares at the lock. Now, remember last weekend when you helped Mommy build that locking mechanism? The one with the hook? Yep. I tap the car door. That's the kind of lock you have in here. There is no lock. Her little eyebrows furrow. There is. I slide my hand down the door to the underside to feel for the panel. Give me your hand. Ariel leans forward to bring her hand down to mine. Right here. You feel that? Yes! She lets out a small, excited squeal. I don't have to instruct her any further. She pulls the end of the screwdriver off to flip it around so that it's now a flathead. Even though Vane had custom tools made for Ariel, her hands are still too little. If it were me, I'd just use a knife. But we'll get to all that down the road. Right now, we're learning the basics. Once she manages to pop off the panel, I hand her the wire. The lock is right here. I tap the spot. It's about 5 inches up. And I have to unhook it, Ariel says before I can tell her. You have to remember the lock. We can't see it. Picture it in your mind as if you're looking through the door. I encourage her as she tries to find the pull. Now when I hear the click half a second before the alarm goes off, Ariel's eyes go wide. Watch me. This next part I'll teach her later. She's not at that level yet. I pull the door open. Ariel dives inside the car, scrambling to get into the passenger seat. That wasn't watching, I laugh. I know the feeling. It can be a rush when you realize what you can do. I got excited! She bounces up and down, watching me pop off another panel. The alarm clicks off. When it stops, Ariel lets out a squeal. Now what? We both jerk our heads up to see Cass standing in front of her car. Uh-oh, we're busted. It's a getaway car. We'd take off. Yeah! Ariel bounces up and down. Are you two done with your fun? She arches one of her perfect brows at me. Are we done, Mommy? We're never done, I tell her. She tries to make a wicked face, pulling her brows together, her nose scrunching up. But all that makes me want to do is kiss her all over her face. I don't get a chance. Before I know it, the passenger door swings open. Vane reaches in and starts tickling her. Surrender, he tells her. Never, she says through giggles. Tears form in my eyes as I watch them together. I'll never get tired of seeing them like this. I love that Ariel gets to grow up in a happy home that's filled with love. It's something I never had. That's my girl. He kisses her on the cheek. Why don't you go with Cass to get some ice cream? Rewarding bad behavior? Cass tisks playfully. Bad? I nailed it! Didn't I, Mommy? She looks so damn proud of herself. And she should be. You sure did. I give her a wink. She runs over and takes Cass's outstretched hand. Cass has always been like an aunt to her. The same way Magic and Rebel have. It warms my heart to think how we've made our own little makeshift family. How'd she do? Vane asks as he wraps his arms around me from behind. One thing is for sure. She's gonna give us a run for our money someday. I can feel his smile against my neck. Like mother, like daughter. Vane rubs his hand across my small baby bump. You're about to have another girl. Good. He lifts me off my feet, carrying me over to one of the workbenches in the warehouse. The hell? He laughs when Felix comes floating by. He lets out a loud meow. We made the Roomba invisible this morning. Felix loves to ride it around. He can even turn it on himself. Of course you did. Vane sets me down on the table. His hand goes back to my stomach. We said we're only having 2, I remind him. We'll have as many as you want or don't want. He nibbles my neck. You don't want a boy? I ask. He lifts his head. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I love my girls. I smile up at him. Vane always knows what to say. He also always knows what he needs to do. My whole life, I've spent taking things apart and putting them back together. Ever since I can remember, I had this need to know how everything worked. To me, it's simple and safe. There is always an answer to be found. But I learned that my methods didn't apply when it came to dealing with people. Not for me, at least. But it's different with Vane. He knows how to take me apart and put me back together. He often anticipates what I need before I do. I love you. Love you too. He leans down and places a kiss on my lips. Now, let me love you. Vane tugs my pants down my legs, dropping down to his knees in front of me. See? He always knows just what I need. The end. This has been Sweet Obsession by MINK, read for you by Stephanie K.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, lady listeners. Like I said earlier, Sweet Obsession is part of the Unexpected series by MINK. The first book, Unexpected Devotion, is free. And, this is the first in the series and on sale for 99 cents right now. And each of those in the series is a standalone and Kindle Unlimited. And make sure you grab his Tiger Queen. It's free right now. And we're going to put everything in the show notes. Up next week, we are on a break. We're actually on a 2-week break for Thanksgiving. So we will be back on November 28th. That's my sister's birthday. On November 28th with Katie Wild. She has a brand new book with us called The Harvest Bride that I'm just so excited. She did one with us earlier this year, and it's all those covers with the flowers. And
Yeah, I love them.
So gorgeous. Oh, my God, they're beautiful. So Katie Wild will be back with us with The Harvest Bride. And for the rest of the year after that, we've got Angelina M. Lopez in the stacks. Alexandria House is giving us a holiday short. Alexa Riley has a new one called The Beastly Deal. And Emma Bray is giving us Stalking in the Holidays, which I love. That's going to come out on Christmas. So from now until the end of the year, that's what you got. And then after that, we're going to be on break until February. So suck it up, lady listeners.
Tell them what to do.
Fuck your day up. Make sure you're a bitch. Don't be a dick.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Read me romance. Read me romance. Read me romance. Read me romance. You could take a look in a book, that's fine. Or you could sit back, relax, and unwind and read me romance. Read me romance.